A warm welcome to today's webinar, Guide to Transition from Your Current Role to AI and ML Engineering. This is hosted by AgileFever.
So it's pleasure to meet you all and discuss about. So we keep on hearing about Gen AI, agentic AI. So we can take up some questions here if you are having some career aspiration. You're thinking about looking at AI because the way AI is moving, it's actually very fast, even faster than we can think about or we can imagine. So anything you're looking for a career transition, you want to understand what's generative AI, what is agentic AI. So how can you plan for it if you are looking at that? We're just keeping it an open forum. Any question from you, you would like to ask, so we can take that question. Yes, no question is there. Fine. So I'll discuss about few things. Like when we are talking about generative AI, what exactly is Gen AI? Gen AI is nothing but it's a content creation. So what ChatGPT is doing, you're just writing some prompt and you're trying to get an output. So what is happening here? We are just trying to generate some text. How it is doing? It is just writing some mm, scripts. In the backend, what is happening? So it's a conditional probability. It's all mathematics that we are running behind in the backend. Let's say anybody is looking for, like, there are a lot of roles we are having here. One of the roles would be about prompt engineer. Nowadays, we keep on hearing a lot about prompt engineer, or maybe somebody is working in backend, somebody is working in sales and marketing, somebody is working in project management. You want to switch your career, you want to switch your career, or maybe you want to learn about AI. So how can you learn about AI? How you can learn about generative AI? How would it look like? So I have few things to share with you. If you're looking for a career transition, let's say you want to move, so what are the ways how we can learn Gen AI? Like, how would it look like? So we can start with understanding about learning about Gen AI. Maybe how we can understand what is agentic AI. Okay, there is a lot of things, like we can look into that. What is the roadmap of Gen AI? So we'll start with looking at a roadmap. Okay, I will just share my screen. So here you can see I'm sharing one image which is talking about Gen AI roadmap. Okay, so let's try to understand here. How do you, if you want to learn generative AI, basically you need to understand first of all what is Gen AI. It's a subset of AI where you're trying to learn about content creation. So it's like AI only. The only difference that we can see here is that Gen AI can be used for content creation. Now, how does the content looks like? A content could be a text, a content could be an image, the content could be an audio, the content could be a video that we want to generate. Or you want to write down some scripts, you want to write down some code, you can do that. So what is the content here? Content here is the text or maybe the image, the audio, video that we are generating here. So Gen AI is that. Now, what are the basic foundations of Gen AI? How these models? So how does Gen AI work? Gen AI is working by using some models. These models are called as large language models. We call them as LLMs, large language models. Now these large language models, basically they are of two types. One is called as, these are of two types. One is called as proprietary large language models and the others are open source large language models. So if you look at proprietary models, OpenAI is one of the example of that. If you're looking for open source models, then we are having, for open source model we are having Llama from Meta, and also these are like different models. Okay, here you can see the list of these models, like GPT model. This is from company called as OpenAI. Then we have a Llama model. Llama model is from Meta, very good models. We have got Gemini model from Google. These are also very good models. We have got DeepSeek model, okay, Claude from Anthropic. Like these are the companies, which have come up with their own models. Some of them are open source, some of them are proprietary models. Now, what are the important concepts? So large language model is generating the content, but then how it is working, we need to understand. So what do you need to understand here? You need to understand about probability, because what is a content generation? It's a conditional probability. You're trying to predict the next word based on the probability. So to know Gen AI, you should understand basics of probability. And Gen AI is based on deep learning. It's having architecture, a framework, a transformer framework that is running in the backend, and it is using deep learning concepts. So to understand that, we need to know calculus, how uh, the partial derivatives, how integration work. Because in these models, when we train these models, we all start from a random training. How do we start? We start by a random training. So we take some data, we train the model, we see what is the accuracy of the model, how the model is predicting, how much of error is there. And then what we do, we come back, we try to decrease the error. Again, we will do the training, we'll come back, we'll decrease the error. So this is like an iterative process where you keep on training, coming back, again retrain that, fine tune that. So we use a derivative here. The process is called as optimization. This is like you're trying to decrease the error. So you're trying to optimize the error by using calculus, like derivatives and all. So these are all mathematical concepts. Then linear algebra and statistics. So these are the foundations. You should be knowing them. And the foundation model we discuss, these are like the heart of this entire model. If you don't have them, the LLM, like these are LLMs, large language models. If we don't have them, we will not be having any output, because these models are running in the backend. These models are generating the output. Then we have a training a foundation model. How do you train a foundation model? Start with, how do you start with training a foundation model? So start with GPU. Like you take a data set, you will take a data set, you will do tokenization. So whatever data you are having, you cannot feed a complete data into the model. So that data have to be broken into small units or chunks. And this process where we are breaking the data into small units and chunks is called as a tokenization. This is the process called as tokenization. So you configure that, and then what we are doing. So once we break data into small chunks, then we can start the training process. When we start the training, so we take these data, we create a test data, we divide data into two parts. One part is training data, that will be approximately like 80% of our data, and we keep some data for testing, uh, that is approximately 20% of our data. And based on that, we train the model. Okay, we train the model. uh, we try to retrain that. We do something called as batch size. Like batch size means you want to run parallelly. So if I have 100 sample, I can go from like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 till 100. Or what we can do, we can divide them into batches of 10, like 10, 10, 10, 10. So 1 to 10 is running when the first start, same time 11th one start, same time 21st start, 31st. So they all start parallelly. We divide them into batch of 10. So first 11, 21st, 31st, all of them will start parallelly. Then you go to the next one. So like that, we have a batch processing where we can do the parallel job of training the model. And once that is done, we can check the performance of the model. So training is very, very important. Now you will ask the question that, okay, ChatGPT is very good. These foundation models are very good. So question is that, why do I need to train the foundation model? What is use of that? So sometimes what happens, the model may not be able to respond to certain questions when we ask about a specific domains. it may not be able to answer that. Like legal terms, if it is not, legal terms are very difficult. We don't use normal English there. So other example would be the medical terms. So if the model is not trained properly, or maybe we have a cutoff. Every model is having some cutoff, before it is released. If you ask any question about the recent, it will not be able to answer. Why? Because it has never seen that data set. So these are the problems with the models. So to solve this problem, we can go with fine tuning the model. Like if you want to do some domain adaptation task, you can go with this fine tuning of the foundation model. Now, what is the process of fine tuning? Again, the same thing. Take your data, label data. So start with the label data. You take this foundation model. These are your foundation model. You take the foundation model, take some label data set, train your model on these label data sets. You do the training, and finally, what you will do after doing the training, you will go with an evaluation, and you will see how the model is doing, and then you will go with the deployment part. You will go with the model deployment. So this is the complete process that you see here of training the model. And why do we train? We train because the model may be having certain cutoff. It has never seen the data. That could be one of the reasons. The other reason could be the model is actually lacking in the domain. So sometimes we see when we ask a question on ChatGPT, you all might have seen that it is not responding well. We are not getting a proper output. What is the reason for that? Because the model is hallucinating. This process where we don't get a proper output from the model, we call it as a hallucination of the model. So we say the model is hallucinating. And what is the reason for that? The reason for model hallucination is that because the model has never seen that data set. So then you go for the fine tuning of the model. But remember, fine tuning is a costly business. Why it is costly business? Because for fine tuning, you require some data. For fine tuning, you require some sample data, label data. So you need an experts to prepare those data. Somebody has to prepare the sample data properly. It is not like they just random sampling. These data sets have to be properly prepared. So we have got some data labeling methods like Label Studio is one example. Like that, there are many tools, open source tools. Okay. We have also something in AWS, ground truth, where you can go, you can use certain services. So you can use third-party services to label your data set. Okay. So different ways we can do data collection, label data set, and then we can go with the training of the model. So this is, but again, it will require a lot of GPUs. Imagine if you're training it for 5 days, 10 days. You know what is the cost of a cheapest GPU? Approximately $3.5 per hour is the cost. If you're running the lowest configuration, if you're running good configuration, then it is going to be around approximately 6 to 10, $6 to $10 if you're running that. If you're running it for 7 days, what is the cost? You can calculate. It's going to be costly. And once you train your model, then you have to make an inference. You have to make a prediction. So then you have to build the inference part of it. That is again going to involve some cost. So this was about training the foundation model. Sometimes you have to develop the GenAI stack. GenAI stack, like you want to build a RAG. Now, what is RAG? RAG is basically when you want to use your document, certain part of your document to answer some questions. So you want to use the capability of these LLM models on your document, but you don't want to share the complete document, only part of it, where you feel that, okay, this would do the response. So what do we use here? We are using Python. We use a framework, something called as LangChain. What is LangChain? LangChain is like an orchestrator framework that you see here. So it is actually binding everything together. It is bringing the model, it is bringing the prompt, it is bringing the memory. So a lot of things, output of the data is connected by LangChain. Then we can use GPT models. which is, or maybe a DeepSeek model, Llama model, prompt engineering. This is linked with the vector database. Like whatever data we have got, the model may not be able to understand data directly. Okay, because we have never pre-processed the data. So first your data pre-processing has to happen, and then we can use this different stack to build a model. So so you have to first convert your data into a vector form, into a form that model understand. And this process where you can convert your data into a vector form is called as an embeddings. We call them as an embeddings. So we can have text embeddings, we can have image embeddings, like different types of embedding methods are there, which we can use along with this text stack, okay, to build some sort of LLM applications, large language model applications. Now, if you look at some of the applications where it is used in computer vision, so one of them is called as GAN. GAN stands for Generative Adversarial Network. So what it means is that in generative adversarial network, what we are doing, we are having a mechanism of thief and a cop. Okay, so it's called as a generator and a discriminator. So your generator is like a thief who is trying to create a fake notes, and a determiner is who is like a cop who is trying to identify whether the notes are real or fake. So we have both of them, a generator and a determinant. So you repeat this process many times such that the fake notes that are generated, they look so real that the discriminator is not able to identify. So in a way, it gives us an output which looks very real at the time of learning. The other model that we are having for computer vision is like Mid Journey. So Mid Journey you have to use on Slack. You can give some instructions. How do you want the image? And you can generate that. Then we have certain models like OpenAI is having DALI, okay, which can be used for image generation. And then we have a Flux. These are all these are all different types of models they use in the computer vision. Now, these are just few examples. There are a lot more. So, if you want to use these, okay, if you want to build this, where do you find the projects where you can use, something? Where do you find the projects? So, one of the project that we would be having, like we can go to Kaggle. Kaggle is very good for exploring the data. Like it is having a lot of data, so you can use that from Kaggle. It's open source, completely open source. Then we are having deeplearning.ai. Deeplearning.ai is another platform where they're offering very good quality content in terms of LLM, in terms of deep learning. Very, very good. Google Labs also offer some courses, yeah, free courses on GenAI. And NVIDIA is also like, one of the major. So NVIDIA is having its own certifications. You can go, you can give these certifications and you can become. So you can learn and then you can develop your own solutions. These are like, again, some of the resources where we can learn about generative AI. Nowadays, GitHub, is again one of the repositories which we can use to learn about the data, structure of the data, a lot of other things are there. Now, let's talk about a very, very important topic called as agentic AI. So in this part 6 that you see, how do I build an application? You can build an application using. So here what is happening? What are the agents? When we are talking about agentic AI, what is actually meaning of agentic AI? What are the agents? So think about it. Agents are like reinforcement learning, bots that we are having. So you take the agents, you take the environment. What the agent do? The agents, they take certain action in the environment. Okay, the agents, they take certain actions in the environment based on certain tools, and then that generates the output. Yeah. So we are talking about agentic AI. Basically, in agentic AI, it is made up of four parts. You are having agents. You are having agents number one. What agent is doing? Agent is using the capability of the LLM models. What agent is doing? It is using the capability of the LLM models to reason. Okay, and it is having a memory. The memory is of two types: a short-term memory and a long-term memory. So the memory can be two types, either a short-term or a long-term memory. So when do we use short-term memory? We are using short-term memory when you are using ChatGPT. So what do you want? You want to just look at the recent conversation, maybe recent top three conversations. That is example of using memory here. And these agents, they can use certain external tools. Like you want to do web scraping. Okay, you can use the agentic AI for doing the web scraping. Okay, there are certain tools which we can use for doing web scraping. And these agents, what they can do, they can delegate the task also. Like they can make an API call, and they can interpret the code, how the code has been there, uh, understanding that, and they should be able to, right? So here, what are the agents? Agents are like us, like we human beings. What agents do? They are doing some task for automation. Like example, I'll give you simple example. If you think about agents, let's say you want to travel to Paris, and you want to plan a trip in a Paris. So you go to ChatGPT and say, okay, give me a plan for a Paris. What happens? You're planning. It will give you day one where you will land, what you will do, day two go to Eiffel Tower and then move, day three here and there. What they did was that, so you can see. So we can use these, different tools into our model. Uh, for training the model and for making the predictions. So when I talk about agents, like again, there are a lot of applications built around the agent. So the coming time that we see is all going to be of agentic AI, because what is agent? It's nothing but it's using the capabilities of the LLM with some reasoning. It is able to reason and it can make some decisions. So if you're looking of, getting into Gen AI, I would recommend you can look into agentic AI. Why? Because agentic AI offers you a way to use the Gen AI, without thinking much about the other model, the other functionalities. So if you want to learn, how do you start? So you have to start with getting to know some basic concepts. You have to learn the basic concepts like linear algebra, some sort of mathematics. You also should be learning any one programming language. Like Python could be the best programming language that we are having now. So every day you can, okay, so you can learn Python, you can do some hands-on, but it is very, very good if you're planning of, you know, getting into Gen AI, working on agentic AI. So you should learn Python. Okay, how much should we learn Python? So see, you should be knowing basics of Python. Okay, basics of Python, like what is the data structure here? How does data types look like? So we can talk about, what is loops in Python, what are tuples in Python, what is dictionary. So again, that is basic. Apart from this, conditional statements we should learn. we should know about uh, control statements, if loop, while loop, for loop, why we are using that. We should learn that. I think that's it. Maybe some functions and some other things. So you can check that. Okay, we do have some courses running on that. If anybody is interested, you can check that. Let me discuss one more roadmap with all of you about. Let me discuss one more roadmap about agentic AI. I'm just trying to open it.
And we also got one more question, Alok.
Yeah,
Yes,
definitely we'll answer
yes.
that. We'll answer your question. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just trying to open agentic AI roadmap, and then definitely uh we can look into this. Okay, so how about statistics? Will the basics of statistics is enough? Okay, see, everything is statistics. You don't need to go and dive into very detail about statistics. What you should know here, you should know here about, you should be knowing the basic concepts like what is conditional probability. You should know about conditional probability. You should be knowing about different types of probability like normal distribution. What is a distribution? What is binomial distributions? And then so basic things, not in detail. Okay, you can go and check. We have some courses there. But if you really ask me, uh, I would say basic level is more than enough. Good, not in detail. Now I'm going to discuss about agentic AI. Like when if you are interested into learning about agentic AI, how do you learn this? So you can start with basics again, some basics of Python, and then you can learn about different orchestration platform here. Like for example, how do I build an agentic AI from scratch? Then we have some orchestration framework like we have something LangChain. Okay, so you have to learn some basics about these. How do I load my data here? How do I use some memory? How do I use some tools here? You have to learn something about prompt engineering. Everybody using prompt, but there's a way of doing that. Then we have something called as RAG. Now RAG is important. So one approach that we discuss when we are not getting a proper output from any LLM model is to go and fine tune that model. That is one way you can do. What is the second way of doing that? The second way of doing is to build a RAG based application. So what happens in RAG is that you take your data first, convert your data into a vector form because model will understand data only in a vector form. So you go, you convert your data into a vector form, and then you retrieve, like you do some query on your data. Let the model ask, what is RAG? Very, very good question. So I will explain you what is RAG. Already, I think I have shared one post on LinkedIn. If you're really interested, maybe you can follow me on LinkedIn and I can share you some of these, articles. You will find a lot of them. Like this is one of the article that I have published here about like what is RAG. So if you see here, what is RAG? Explain very simple. Sometimes I'm asking a question, like if I'm asking a question about my data set, my organization data set. Uh, ChatGPT may be having no idea about it. Why? Because ChatGPT might never have seen that data set. Okay. And no organization will share their data set for training with the ChatGPT or any other GPT model. But then if I want to use the capabilities of these large language model to generate some response, what I can do? We can use RAG here. So what is RAG? RAG is made up of three parts: retrieval, augmented, and generation. Now, what is retrieval? What is augmented? What is generation? We need to understand here. So first, you take your data, do the tokenization like chunking, recursive character splitter you're using, then do embeddings. You convert your data into form which the model will understand, like a vector form. So we do embeddings here. Okay. So this is called as vector database. And what you do, you prepare a vector database of that. What is the vector database? It could be a FIAS, ChromaDB, Pinecone. Okay. You are doing that. So you store your data here. You can see your entire data is stored as a vector database. Now what you do after that, you are asking some question here. That question also will be converted into an embedding form, into a vector form. It will search on the database and give you the some top key results. This is called as augmented. So whatever top key results that you're getting, this is the retrieval part. From database, find the top key. Now once you have found the top key plus your prompt, this is called as augmented. You're taking the prompt and you're taking the top key results. Where you're sending? You're sending it to the LLM model. The LLM model could be anything, a GPT model, a Gemini model, a Claude. So that will give a response. That response we can send it to the user. So you can see this is like a how RAG is working. Okay. So where do we use RAG? RAG is mostly used for document retrieval. If you're having some query, some question you want to ask from your document, but you don't want the complete data to be shared with LLM model because you think that okay, it could be trained on these. So that is why we are using these RAG methods. What do you see here? I've explained this in more detail. If you're interested, go and read about this. I will share this article. Okay. Uh, Copy link to post. I'll put it in the chat. Everybody can go and check this one. Yeah. So if you're really looking at agentic AI, how do you build an agentic AI? So like, what are the ways of doing that? Okay. Sorry. So we were here. So uh, building the agentic AI from agents from the scratch, or what we can do, we can use LangChains. So we can build the agents by using LangChain. Then we have some other orchestrated frameworks like AutoGen Crew AI. We can build the agentic RAG system. Okay. So these are the ways, like if you're looking for building some solutions. I think some of you asked that question about how much should we know about probability and statistics. So in statistics, you should be knowing the basics like probability, descriptive statistics. When I say descriptive statistics, looking at the spread of the data set, how much is my data spreading? What is mean, median, mode? What is standard deviation? What is variance? Like spread of the data. Then you look at like central tendency, which we discuss, central point of the data, spread of the data set, and then hypothesis testing, like do using t-test, z-test, ANOVA test. So this is all what you need when you are discussing about what want to learn about that. We have a programming language here, like we can use Python. In mathematics, we need linear algebra, calculus. I think this is what you need. Rest again, uh, basic concepts you can go. So if you're looking at a data science, you have to start with some basic statistics, probability, mathematics. Then you can learn about basics of machine learning. When I talk about machine learning, what is supervised learning, what is regression, what is classification. We can talk about unsupervised learnings like clustering, dimension reduction. We can look into evaluation matrix, accuracy, precision, recall. And then we have uh, data wrangling and pre-processing, where we are talking about data cleaning, handling missing values, outliers, feature engineering, creating new features, feature scaling. Like how do I handle my data? Data will not be very clean. It will be having noise. So how to clean the noise from the data set. So all these we can know. We can go and look into data. data visualization, creating histogram, box plot, bar charts, plotting the data set. Okay, so this is some of the things that you should be knowing when you are building your model. Some sort of visualization always help, like how do you go and plot your data? So knowing something, some plotting techniques, okay, something like building up a matplotlib like Power BI or Tableau can also be useful, where you can learn about some basic concepts. Will you share? If you want this doc, definitely I can share it right now with all of you. Okay, you can find this doc, and if you're really interested, you can go to our website. You have the link. All of you can go and check these. These also, I mean, sure, you can just go and read about these. So all these basic concepts which is required for learning, everything could be found here. I've shared both the links. All of you can check this. Okay, let me know if anybody is having any other question here.
Think,
How
yeah,
Scrum Master role is changing? Okay, nowadays see a lot of AI is coming. AI is actually everywhere. So in Scrum also when you're making like, so how do you bring the concept of here? So we are building on some courses where we are looking at, a Scrum Master. Like we have different an agile models, waterfall model, like different types of model we are having Scrum. But then what is the role of AI? So something that, we are building some new courses for this, which you will find, in coming days. So check our platform, agilefever.com. You will find a lot of informations there. You need a lot of tools to understand, to make your job easy. And ChatGPT is already, helping us a lot. So like that, there are many others concepts and tool which can help us to make our life easy. Okay. So you can go through our agentic AI course, very, very good course that we are having. It's a 5 day, uh, it's a 5 day bootcamp that we are having. You will learn a lot from there. Like that, we have other courses also coming up, front end, for DevOps, for project managers. So keep an eye on Agile Fever platform. You will hear about that. Definitely, it is going to help you because if you can learn about this tool, you can automate a lot of these things. It's not that AI is only for AI engineer, data scientist, Gen AI. No, everybody should know AI because see what AI is doing. It is creating images, it is creating videos, it is creating content. So a scrum master can also be beneficial a lot of time. You have to prepare a project plan. I'll give you a simple example. As in scrum master, you want to manage everything, you want to prepare a project plan. You go and you ask it, to prepare the project plan. So it is going to do that. Otherwise, what will happen? If you just ask it, uh, create a yeah, I'm just giving it a role and asking it, to give me a proper plan which about building an AI agents, and I've just given a role. Now you can see how it is going to plan. So when you're planning about the sprint, see how it started. A project goal it has given, the sprint structure it has given, 15 minutes every day Scrum call, Scrum Master responsibilities, what is that thing, tools what you can use. So how do we use these tools? And now you can see we are having LangChain, Ulama here coming up. GitLab. So all these tools, how do you know? You have to learn about, you should be knowing about these, at least basic. You're not going to build, but you're going to manage. So you should be knowing about that. Now you can see I prepared an agenda, some sort of backlog you're doing. So you should be aware of that. example of, daily stand up, what you're having, end-to-end scrum, and then we are having. So this is what you can see, how I use this tool to, prepare for that. You can even refine it further. You can make it much better. So what you should be knowing, you should be knowing about these, how to use this kind of tool. Like this is just one example. We can have so many examples here where we can go, we can look into different types of tool. We can come up with a plan, and we can ask about some query about, some sort of resolution that we are doing. So it is like an ocean you are having in your hand. You should only know how to use these properly. Okay.
I think that brings us to the end of the session. Yeah, a big thank you to you, Alok, for your
Thank you.
valuable insights.
Yeah.
And yes, please look at our website. Agentic AI courses were there in our website, and these are having some year-end offers also, like this starting offers actually. Yeah, you can look into it and stay connected with us for our future webinars and learning opportunities.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Alok. Thank you, everyone. Have a great day. Bye bye.